So Justice got this game, Candyland, for Christmas, and I remember playing Candyland as a kid. I used to play this when I was a kid. Yeah, and I don't know if it was because I was a little kid or because they have a different version of Candyland today. It doesn't seem like it's as robust as it used to be. I mean, it's still fun, and I know it's a simple game, but I feel like when I was a kid there were more things, more moves that you could do. Or maybe I thought it was this. What? I could be blue. Okay, what color are you gonna be? I feel like maybe this was the game when I was a kid, and I just thought it was awesome. You got blue? Okay, so you go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've played this game so far.
Yeah.
Candyland.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Christmas tree doesn't have any decorations on it. I don't even know what day it is. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Today I believe is day 29. If it's incorrect, I'll correct that somewhere here on the screen. And we are looking at Exodus chapters 1 through 3. In Exodus chapter 1, we see that the people of Israel have multiplied greatly in the land of Egypt, and Pharaoh at this time, he is threatened by their growth, and as a result is putting now the people of Israel into slavery, and even any Hebrew woman that bears a male child, he is telling these Egyptian midwives to go kill that child. And there's two midwives in particular. Their names are Shifrath, Shua. These two midwives, they feared the Lord, and basically their excuse to Pharaoh was that the Hebrew women, when they give birth, they're like bosses giving birth. Like, Rah! They give birth to these children before the midwives can get there and take care of business, and that's why they're not killing these baby boys. But it was really because they feared the Lord. Then in chapter 2, we have the birth of Moses, and Pharaoh's daughter finds this basket that the baby Moses was put in as he was put into the Nile River, and she, when the appropriate time came, she basically made him a son in Pharaoh's house. Then it skips a number of years to when Moses is a man, and Moses saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, and Moses went and killed that Egyptian and buried him in the sand. And later on, there were two Hebrews that were fighting against each other, and Moses was trying to reconcile whatever it is that they were fighting over, and one of them says to him, "Hey, who are you, a murderer, that you should have authority over us?" And that's when Moses knew that people knew that he murdered the Egyptian, and immediately he books it for the wilderness of Midian. When he gets to Midian, that's where he comes across Jethro's daughters. He protects them from the evil shepherds, then he feeds their flock and basically gets invited into Jethro's house. Jethro gives Zipporah as his daughter Zipporah to Moses as his wife, and they have a couple kids, and Moses becomes a shepherd in Midian. Then chapter 3 is the famous story of the bush that is on fire, but it's not being consumed. And God speaks to Moses through this burning but not being consumed bush, and reveals himself to him and tells him that he has heard the cry of the people in Egypt and that he's going to send Moses to be their deliverer. So there's a lot of really interesting things in these 3 chapters, but what I find most interesting and compelling are the obvious correlations to Jesus Christ in these stories. Just like when Jesus was born, Herod, he was anxious about this Messiah, this Hebrew king that was to be born, and so what does he do is in Bethlehem he tells the Roman soldiers, or the soldiers that are under him, to kill every single male child that is 2 years and younger, similar to kind of what's happening here with Pharaoh wanting the Hebrew males that are being born to die so that the Hebrews don't continue to overpopulate the land of Egypt.
Really good.
Also, when we are in chapter 3, and it's the story of the burning bush, and God reveals himself to Moses as I am, when Moses asks him, okay, you're going to send me back to deliver Israel. Who is it that I tell them who's sending me? God says, I am. And it's that reference to, this isn't just the God of the Hebrews, but this is the God of the universe, the one true living God. And in John chapter 8, when Jesus is having this discussion with, it was around the context of Abraham, but Jesus makes this incredible and bold statement in John chapter 8, starting, I believe it's in verse 58. Jesus said to them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." When Jesus says that, he's calling himself the I am. It's the same I am that is being referenced in Exodus 3, that this isn't just the God of the Hebrews, but this is the God of the universe, the overarching authority over all things, and claiming that authority, and ultimately claiming that the truth that he can forgive sins and that he will rescue his people. And so when we go back and we look at Exodus 1 through 3, and we see these correlations to Jesus, and we're going to see this as we go throughout Exodus and a few other books in the Torah, that Moses is really this type of foreshadowing of Christ in terms of being this rescuer. While Moses was a rescuer in a physical sense for the people coming out of Egypt, ultimately Christ is the ultimate rescuer that rescues us from our sin. And this is really the first foreshadowing we have of Christ in terms of his redemptive and salvific nature. And at any time in Scripture when we can point to Jesus and look at Jesus and behold Jesus, there's nothing better than that. Okay, I think that's it.